Guess what's been in my mouth that I'm about to throw up?
Video.
Every frickin' time.
Hello, peoples and persons of all ages. It is I, Kazrium, and welcome to the year of our Lord Hootzifer 2022. While I'm continuing to toil with the upcoming How Yesterday's Lie Shatters Loose Noceda video, there's a preview of the opening of that video at the end of this one, so be sure to stick around until the end. Today, I'm going to be talking about something I wanted to cover in my The Owl House Musical Every Fan Should Know video. Check that out if you haven't already, but didn't get the time to. And that is some of the most beautiful Owl House animatics and the artists behind them to grace the digital sea. But you might be asking yourself, what are animatics? Animatics are successive shots of storyboards paired with sound, such as a soundtrack. Much like art, this is a very loose definition, as animatics don't necessarily have rules or requirements like, for example, how many individual storyboards are needed to be considered one. Animatics are a normal part of the animation process, as shown with this example from the Steven Universe movie. Animatics are important because they save time and money by already having sequences timed and visualized before moving to the design stage, where any adjustments that would need to be made would be costly otherwise. Animatics are a lot faster to produce than animation, making them a popular format for artists to use when creating content online. In fact, a whole community of artists on YouTube exists who create animatics based on content they enjoy or created. In that community, I found that it's quite common for popular musicals and animated series to get animatics based around the source material, and this makes a lot of sense when you think about it. If animatics are the marriage of animation and sound, then it only makes sense that animated content and musicals are the recipient of the vast majority of fan-made animatics. The Owl House, being an animated series from a company that built their business on that same marriage of animation and music, was, expectedly, no exception to this. While there are no doubt dozens of talented animatic and animation artists, and I wish I had time to cover them all, I wanted to highlight three in particular who've created immensely impressive work and are stellar examples of how the combination of talent and passion can create something truly extraordinary. Starting off, we have an animatic from Thea Arts to the song You Happen from the musical The Prom. And just wow! The art style is by far the closest to the show I've ever seen an animatic do. This is seriously impressive work. Honestly, just color it in, add some additional frames, and you have yourself a final quality animation indistinguishable from the actual show. And adding to that impressive work is the sense of emotion and energy flowing from the animatic that give it life and character. This is especially important that it naturally gives the impression that the characters Luz and Amity are really singing, with the cherry on top being that the lyrics make sense for both the characters in their respective parts, with Amity feeling her life was a mess and Luz feeling so lonely before they happened, and Luz's singer Caitlin Kanunen's voice matching her fairly closely. This means the audience can simply immerse themselves in the animatic without having to majorly suspend their disbelief. Even with the song as great as Little Miss Perfect, disbelief does need to be suspended in order for it to work with the Owl House's characters, but not so much with this song, other than it not being the same voice actresses and it being called Prom instead of Brom. All in all, it's a great song choice to make an animatic for, and Thea's work is so expressive and adaptive to both source materials. Thea's working on a couple of major projects right now. One of particular interest, considering the source of this video, is a batch of the Owl House musical animatics for all its songs, which I could not be more excited to see, by the way, and a pilot for a show she's creating called Stars Align, and it looks really impressive. If you told me this was a new show that was greenlit by Disney, I'd totally believe you. The show is planned to be an online series, similar to the path that the show Hello Boss took, with a wide range of representation of LGBTQ+ characters and mental health issues. The show's about 3 girls who get transported to another dimension after finding 3 parts to a necklace and learning to work together to save this new world called the Six Realms from a dark force. Fans of Amphibia are sure to be satisfied with a premise like that, so be sure to check it out. She's most excited to see people's reactions to her pilot, and the thing that keeps her going is her incredible support system, specifically calling out her mom and girlfriend. Thea, thank you so much for speaking with me, and if you'd be interested in talking about Stars Align ahead of its release, let me know. I'd love to speak to you more about it. But the impressive work doesn't stop there. As a fan of Hamilton and the Owl House, a video from a channel called Pimpkins caught my attention. History has its eyes on you. The Owl House Bellows animatic. And holy titan! Not only is the art style varied, with one of them once again being very close to the style of the show, but the most impressive part, wow, where do I begin? Should I talk about the motion behind the visuals, the brilliant cuts to cues from the songs, the rotating styles and imagery communicating the hollowed torment that Bellows must feel from his lifetimes and rise to power? Honestly, for once, I have no words. It's just beautiful. Luckily, I was able to connect with Pimpkins, who was able to help me with this portion of the video, so thank you so much for helping me get insight into your process, Pimpkins. I won't discuss every detail because 1, I don't want to spoil too much and want to give you the joy of finding these conclusions for yourself, and 2, because some of it is up to your own interpretation, there isn't always a right answer. That said, let Pimpkins and I get you started. Something that is definitely the most noticeable element of these animatics is their shifting between black and white backgrounds. This is actually intentional, as it helps communicate if a character is facing reality when it's in white, or if it's their own internal disposition when it's in black. In turn, this puts a specific importance on the usage of color as a whole, since it rarely pops up between the shifting black and white scenes. With red being a focus on wild magic, a perfect choice for color considering Little Rascal, and that red is a color traditionally associated with aggression and chaos, and since these animatics are from the perspective of the Emperor's Coven, it fits that interpretation. Blue being associated with covens, again, considering the perspective, a color representing calm and order makes blue the perfect choice, and green serving as a transition between the two. The RGB pattern of these color choices call attention to the duality, yet direct, almost inseparable connection between wild magic and the coven system in Bellows' society. I can almost guarantee that these color selections were not arbitrary, which should give some insight in just how much intentionality and attention to detail each of her non-humorous animatics contain. Speaking of her animatics, Pimpkins was kind enough to leave a preview of what she's been working on. Check it out, and I hope you enjoy.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Love. Good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, love. 7, 8, 9. 7, 8, 9. 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Thank you so much, Pimpkins, for being willing to share this with all of us, and I am really looking forward to the finished animatic. Pimpkins considers her animatics as a part of her Humanity Unlocked alternate universe, which follows the canon, but from the perspective of Emperor Bellows, with more moral gray area compared to the actual show. If that sounds interesting to you, she's currently creating a series based around that and currently has 16 recordings ready to go for it. Subscribe and follow Pimpkins for more details on that. She has other also impressive animatics as well, but there's so much that makes this one special. From the quick pace, imagery, and integration of lore, you can't just watch it once to get the full picture, and if the theories are to be believed, then Bellows' goal to bring back his brother really hits home on the song's emphasis on legacy, making Bellows' actions villainous, but empathetic. I really will remember this animatic and Bellows whenever I hear this song from now on. Pimpkins, you knocked it out of the park. Simply breathtaking.
History has its eyes on you.
The last artist I'll speak about for this section is known as Cotton Candy Sprite. I wanted to highlight two of their animatics that I found utterly beautiful. The first animatic just came out while I was editing the Owl House musical video actually. It's called Vaudeville and features the beta alternate universe versions of the show's characters. Basically designs for the characters that existed at one point in the development process when they were older and the show had a more mature tone to it. This one tells a story that's communicated through its visuals, so while there isn't a ton for me to break down here, I just wanted to say how beautiful and fun this one looks. The beat is bright and bouncy, which contrasts the darker lyrics and visuals of the animatic, and Cotton Candy Sprite's lighting is beautifully utilized at the end of this animatic. It's really entertaining, so give it a watch if you have the time. It certainly deserves some love considering the level of detail and collaboration between the song and visuals that we're seeing here. The second animatic she made was to a song called Graceland 2 by Phoebe Bridgers. The art style is so unique, and the color, it helps induce a deep emotional resonance when paired with the song. My heart simultaneously sinks and soars when watching it. You really feel what Amity and Luce are feeling even before a word pops up, which speaks volumes to the skill of Cotton Candy Sprite's integration of visuals into an already emotional song. The visual aspects of this animatic also show the importance in light in communicating its themes. When Amity's in the dark, the meaning is literal. She's lost or searching for something. It's not until she stumbles upon Luce's light glyphs that she's able to find where she needs to go. Meanwhile, Luce may have plenty of light to provide for others, but there's a clear loneliness to her after reflecting on going home and back to the way things were. We may not see her expression, but Cotton Candy Sprite's use of color and framing make it apparent. Amity's company ends up breaking that loneliness and gives her courage. Maybe it's a stretch, but I think there's something hidden in this beautiful love story. Between the song, the visuals, and what we know of up to the first season of The Owl House, when this animatic was made, I think this animatic tells a lesson about the power of honesty. It spends time reflecting on Amity's secret from Luce, and Luce's internal struggles surrounding what she wants to do and how she's gonna tell her mom. At the center of all this is a lack of honesty. So when Luce shows Amity the light well she made, it's actually a symbolic moment for the two, offering Amity a glimpse into how she sees things. That ends up giving Amity the courage to open up, which, considering all of this, gives so much more power to Amity saying she knows she lived through it to get to this moment. Importantly, these are the only lyrics spoken by either of them, and this whole sequence of events leading to their confession was all possible thanks to just a moment of honesty. Thank you, Cotton Candy Sprite, for bringing such a profoundly emotional animatic into this world. From lighting, color, and so much more, your visual storytelling is truly something special. These animatics from these three artists are only a handful of the no doubt hundreds available online from hundreds of different franchises and source materials. But just these examples alone can, in total, sum up the phenomena behind animatics. If you notice, despite being intended for the same audience, each of them had more differences than similarities. They had different characters, some were musicals, some weren't. They had different tones, themes, art styles, interpretations, goals. I could go on. And in a world where an algorithm tries to feed you the most similar content possible over and over again, it would seem unlikely animatics would be able to gain even mild success with their loose rules. But ironically, this ends up being their greatest strength. It's an open and diverse style of art, purposefully. And despite the legal issues of using copyrighted materials, I think it's amazing that a format like this exists. No matter what level of experience or effort you put in, you can take something you love and infuse your own perspective onto it. A creator confirming that a show won't ever have a musical number in it, but by Hooty, do you love musicals? Boom! Make your own. Want to see alternate universe versions of the characters go on adventures together? Bam! You can make that too. It's what I find so interesting about this broad yet dedicated art form, how they can come from various themes and perspectives and yet all have the same central purpose. Animatics, no matter the content, communicate a deep love and passion of the materials being used. The possibilities are only limited to what you can imagine. It's just up to you to be the one to pick up the pen. For being literally derived as static animation, I think animatics are more dynamic than most people give them credit for. With that said, subscribe to join the Witch Appreciation Society. I've been Danny K, and remember to do something nice for yourself today. But before you go, I actually have a preview for my upcoming Loose video essay as a thank you to all of you for liking, commenting, and subscribing on my videos. I super appreciate the support. As a side note, before I get into that though, I actually was planning on releasing this video as the last one of 2021, but things kinda happened. You know, the holidays, getting a tree, baking cookies, getting a neck injury requiring a little surgery, you know, normal holiday stuff. I won't get into that because it's, well, gross, but let's just say there was a trip to the ER and there was a guy there who stabbed me a few times in the back of the neck. That guy was not fun. Anywho, I'm pretty much recovered at this point, so thank you all for your patience and understanding. There's a community post coming out alongside this video with a schedule of some of the upcoming videos, so be sure to check that out. And first on that list is a video I've been wanting to make since I started making these essays a couple months ago. Here's the type of content you can expect in the year 2022.
Looks like this sour lemon drop has a hidden sweet center.
I thought you might have been a good guy, but I guess that was just wishful thinking. You're not my friend.
These two girls are not the same character, but both are a direct reflection on the state of the world around them. Luz Noceda, self-described average teen who by all accounts lives in anything but ordinary life. After running away from the expectations of everyone around her, she finds herself thrust into a land of flesh and bones of a fallen titan, known as the Boiling Isles. In Season 1, Luz functions as an introduction to that world within a fish-out-of-water type narrative. She operates as a refreshing ray of sunshine for everyone around her because for a terrifying world filled with demons, she manages to find happiness and joy out of even the bleakest of situations. It's what makes Luz, Luz. Or so we think. Because towards the end of Season 1 and much of Season 2's first half, there's a dramatic shift in her behavior and philosophy. One so drastic that it even affects the show's tone. Or maybe it's vice versa. It's quite hard to tell, a real chicken or the egg situation. But one thing's for sure. Luz is such an important character for the Owl House that the audience's view of that world quite literally shifts along with her. But it's all a light, reasonable nudge in a different direction. It's not until later on in Season 2 that things start to take a more dramatic shift, with each episode being a masterful crescendo in each main character's arcs, only for the show to finally reveal its hand in the mid-season finale, Yesterday's Lie, because that episode is, quite frankly, a direct rebuttal of everything we've been led to expect of Luz, and more importantly, one that will continue to send shockwaves through the rest of the series, affecting every character we've gotten to know and love. So today, I want to really dive into what this character means in the grand scheme of the Owl House's narrative, talk about how the second episode of the show is actually way more deep than anyone ever realized, and show how Yesterday's Lie shatters loose and tells us where the show is going before the second half of Season 2's premiere in March. So hold on to your palisman and grab your boo-boo buddies because
This mama is ready for trauma.